We're actually still waiting on someone, so this is kind of awkward. What we will do is jump right in and go to the first clip on our thing, and hopefully by that point Alana will be here. No, let's roll it. Let's roll it.
It'll be great. It's live. It's tops.
Stormtrooper versus Han Solo.
Nice. Excellent.
Fight.
We don't know how to pronounce it either. We have no idea.
Knockout. You win.
All clear here. Shot.
Yep. So that is the worst fighting game of all time. Okay, she's not here. I had a plan that was going to be really impressive. I'll do introductions now. I'm Luke Lancaster with CNET.
Oh, hi, I'm Nick Healy, ex-CNET.
I'm David Hollingworth, not at all affiliated with CNET.
And I'm Dan Crowd. I'm from GameSpot.
And we all play a lot of Star Wars games.
And watch a lot of Star Wars and talk about a lot of Star Wars.
Even read Star Wars.
And live Star Wars in my day-to-day life, really. Not how. I don't want to tell you how. It's too embarrassing.
Yeah, all right.
How to live Star Wars.
how to
You've
live
got one
Star
of those
Wars.
Jedi bathrobes, don't you?
Yeah. No, I actually do. I actually do. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Okay. Also, the empty seat is Lana Pierce from IGN, who is going to be really, really embarrassed when she gets here.
So everybody applaud when she comes up.
Please do. Make it a big deal. Why are Star Wars games so bad?
You know, that's the age-old question, really. Is there a simple answer? See, I deferred it away.
Yeah.
It was good, though.
Is there a simple answer, Nick Healy?
Yes, there is. Star Wars isn't very good to begin with, so the games were never going to be great anyway.
Take him down.
Why did I ask you to be on this panel?
Jesus
That is too early. Too early.
Wow, man. Thank you for noticing. I think often because, so I grew up with Star Wars. You know, I saw it when I was 6 years old in the cinema. So it is this very, very personal thing. And you go, Star Wars game, that can't suck.
But they have to suck.
Yeah,
All right,
so that's one of the reasons.
Look, I think we also, certainly people of David and my age, generation, we got used to games being bad. Like, games just were, especially if they were going to be a tie-in to a film or a franchise. I mean, I actually played the Poltergeist game on Atari, and it did not have a lot to do with the film, I can assure you of that, and it was not very good. I think we just expected that a game that was going to be a licensed thing like that was going to be bad.
That's really true. I don't think there are any licensed games anymore, are there, that aren't mobile games? Does anyone make... Has there been a console licensed game?
Isn't that like Lego's entire model?
That's true, but does that count? That's kind of two properties. Does that really count as like a
if it's
tie-in
licensed
game?
over two things, it's fine.
Yeah, that's... And
They
also,
cancel each other
Lego
out.
games are actually pretty good.
Yeah. So, I think it's just stuff like Terraskasi. You get games that... You don't need a Star Wars fighting game. It doesn't make sense that stormtroopers who just are there to get shot are martial artists, right?
Or that you have a move where, what is Han Solo known for? Drawing his gun. But there is a move in that video where he puts it away.
Yeah, that's so you can keep taking it out, right? No, it was bad. And, like, you want these games to be good, right? We all love Star Wars. Probably too. Okay, apart from Nick. Nick doesn't. Here we go.
These tombs aren't going to raid themselves. Hi, everyone. I'm Alana. I guess this is the part where we have already introduced ourselves.
A little bit.
Okay, I'm an editor at IGN, and I'm really hoping that Battlefront 2 is good.
Oh, should we talk about Battlefront 1 now?
No,
Sure,
no,
if we-
not yet, not yet.
Okay.
Not ready yet?
All
It's
right.
Not
too
yet.
soon?
Not
It's
yet.
too soon.
The wounds are still too fresh, man.
Okay, but, like, I think this goes back to the original sort of, like, Super Star Wars games, because I replayed those in preparation for this panel. That's right, I do research. And they're not good, guys. They
Would you
don't
say that's a
hold up.
controversial opinion? I'm going to throw it to the audience. Super Star Wars, good or bad?
Have you played them recently?
Yeah?
Okay, then I'm wrong. Sorry.
Good.
What if he's wrong?
Yeah. What makes it bad in your eyes?
They are way too hard. And I'll go on the record and say that. They are way too hard, but that's all old games.
Well, we all
I'm
know
making
games journalists
sweeping
suck at video
declarations
games.
here, yeah.
That's true.
No, it's the children who are wrong.
I replayed Super Star Wars again recently, and I think it's got this rose-coloured glasses of my youth playing it in my lounge room, you know, on my CRT while my parents are asleep upstairs, and I'm turning it down. And like, as an adult, I don't have that connection to it anymore, and I'm just like, oh, I don't have the time to play this anymore. I just can't be bothered. When I was a kid, I could sit there and play it and just like struggle through the harsh difficulty, like you said. But now, man, I value my time too much. I would much rather be asleep. Like, oh, love having a nap.
How good is sleep?
Oh, dude. That's true. That is all we had back then. Like, these bad games were all we could play. And I remember tricking myself. I got Masters of Terras Kasi. Does anyone know how to pronounce it? Is it Terras Kasi? Terras Kasai? Terras Kasi? Let's go with Terras Kasi. It was the first game I convinced my mum to buy me, not for my birthday or Christmas. We were at Maya, and I played it on a console like demo station, and I played that level, the one on Endor, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is the best game ever made. Mum, buy this for me. And she was like, all right, cool. This is out of the ordinary. You can have it. And I remember getting it home, playing it a little bit, and just realizing how shit it was, and just convincing myself that it wasn't a shit game. And I used to get friends around to trick them, to be like, hey man, this is a really good game, but we all knew it was just so bad.
Rose-tinted glasses in video games is kind of a fascinating thing, and I think that there's actually this period of time where you can pinpoint your nostalgia, and I think it's from an age where you can remember everything, but you haven't fully developed critical thinking. So I think it's like, it's not even a joke, I think it's like up to the point where you hit about 13, you are nostalgic from everything from like maybe 9 to 13. Yeah. And for a lot of people, that also encompasses Star Wars, because I feel like it's family friendly, it's a family fantasy series, and it's something that people see at a really young age. And then we just like to pretend that all of the games are good. Same thing happened when the prequels came out, and everyone was like, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did.
It was good.
No one ever thought
They said it was good.
Come on, show of hands. Who didn't hate the first prequel until they'd seen it at least twice?
Me, for sure.
Is it because you wanted to believe?
That's exactly what it
I
was.
wanted to believe. Yeah, yeah.
That would have helped. But we were talking about Pod Racer. Pod Racer was the episode 1 tie-in game. Pardon?
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, they
This is
really
pretty
used
cool.
him well.
And I absolutely hated Pod Racer, but I was playing it on PC. Dan was saying before that on
N64, that
It was
was one of the best N64 games ever made. And there was that cheat code where you could get 2 N64 controllers and control the engines independently. And
Really?
it was.
Wow.
Did you not know about this?
I didn't know
Oh
that.
my god! When I found that out,
to me as well,
it's
yeah.
also. Did you know on Time Crisis on PS1, if you put a controller on the floor and had the gun con, you could step on the controller and use it as a pedal? Anyone else know that?
Oh, well, that's a great way
Yeah,
to break
back
a
in the day
controller.
when they just do dumb shit like that.
I think that's brilliant.
But
I know what
yeah,
you're
like
talking
Pod
about.
Racer on the N64 was just, again, I think it was my childhood, getting friends around. We'd play 4-player split screen and just,
No, I have
So
really,
good.
I have really good memories of that
Still
game.
friends with?
0.
Yeah.
They also didn't exist.
Okay, that was awkward. I thought someone was
That's
going
right.
to say
Yeah,
something.
yeah, cool.
Speaking of games from our youth that we have a real nostalgic tie to, have you played Jedi Knight 2 recently, David?
No.
I have such a deep affection for that game because that game is the thing that taught me how to use console codes. Right? Because you don't want a gun at the start. You want to be a Jedi. You want your lightsaber. Don't play through it again. If you have any fond memories of that game, do not play it again. And it might just be us getting older, but like I still love Star Wars. I still love the original movies.
Yeah, I still love Dark Forces. I think it's one of the greatest games ever. I can't go back and play it ever again. Yeah.
So my theory is that Star Wars games can be good if they're not tied in to a film. So I still say that KOTOR is just one of the best things ever. 2 was great. You get away from what the franchise has done cinematically, and you can have a great game.
I'm going to slide down a bit further from... Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was going to say, except for the sound design. Like, the one thing that I love about Battlefront is the sound design. If you rip that straight from the films, stoked. But
Yeah.
like, it's almost perfect because they actually, you know, it sounds like Star Wars because it is Star
It is
Wars.
one of the greatest things about that game, how it sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's the rest.
Yes.
Hey, look,
It looks all right.
It looks pretty
amazing
good.
20 minutes of gameplay.
That's true.
That first 20 minutes you'll
Yeah.
always have.
It's
yeah.
one of those games that if you play it at a convention and you play it with a lot of people, it's super fun, and then you play it in your living room by yourself and you're like,
Yeah.
where's that DLC?
Yeah.
I really paid for that season pass a while ago.
But just talking about KOTOR and games that aren't directly tied into the main Star Wars canon, KOTOR is a very good BioWare game.
Ooh. But
By which you
but is
mean
it a good
you
Star
think
Wars
it's
game,
not a
Luke?
Star Wars game.
I didn't say it's not a Star Wars game.
Right,
I just said it
okay.
was a good BioWare game.
But what do you think of BioWare games in general?
I'm a fan of BioWare games in general. Like, I think BioWare make really good games, but the thing I look for in Star Wars is that the feeling of the world, the very black and white moral certitude, the lightsaber noises, you know. I'll own up to that. And I don't think BioWare is suited to making that kind of game.
I'm gonna have to level with everyone in this room. I've never played KOTOR.
Wow.
I know. I waited too long because now when I try to play it, it hasn't aged the best. So as someone who's never played it, has no connection to it, I just can't get into it. Hey, I've tried multiple times on like multiple consoles and like on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer, and I just
It's on
can't do
mobile?
it. Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
everything, literally everything.
How does it
now.
run on a phone?
Pretty well.
That's
Looks great.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
That was like
Wow.
one of the big App Store releases when it came out. Everyone was like, "Oh shit,
That's
KOTOR!"
incredible. I had
And
no
you know, I
idea.
got caught up in the hype, and then I was on the train, and I was like, oh,
Just crying a little bit?
"I don't like this. I don't think it's very
Weeping on the
good."
train?
I want my $16.99.
Yeah. Where's my $16.99?
Go clip 2. We got to talk about the prequels because it is the bad thing in Star Wars, like the #1 bad thing. And I will go so far as to say, apart from Pod Racer, every game about the prequels is bad.
That's incorrect.
This one is really bad.
Okay, so I'm a video producer for GameSpot, and that was one of the worst edited things I've ever seen. Oh my god. Why was it so long?
My favorite thing about it is that is like all the combat in the game. Like, there is not more than that.
Why was he doing front flips? I don't...
That's the prequels. That's dead on. Everyone front flips.
They do a lot.
God.
I don't remember the Xbox looking that garbage. Like that's really
Yeah. So I just looked it up on Metascore. Its Metascore on Metacritic is a 58. But I particularly like that the #1 review is 88. It's like, while this program might not be as intense as Halo,
This program.
what does any of that mean?
I mean,
Yahoo says, just plain fun. Thanks, Yahoo.
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
I mean, watching that, I got memories of Shadows of the Empire on N64, and everyone has fond memories of like the Hoth level in Shadows of the Empire, but the rest of it is hot garbage. That game sucks.
Doesn't that, it has like really weird platforming parts?
Yeah.
That because you have to be so precise because the game sucks is nearly impossible.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun.
Yeah. Shadows is weird because it's part of this larger attempt by Lucasfilm and LucasArts to create this whole new property, new characters, new setting, new designs, and it was like, wow, this is just the tie-in for a tie-in for a tie-in. There was no actual original property. It was just all commercial.
All these games kind of came out in a time when they were just throwing so many Star Wars things at the wall to see what would stick. And I think that's probably what led to this like bad Star Wars games. They just tried everything.
I think part of it has to also be working with Lucas. I don't know if this has been the same way the whole time, but I went to Disney Infinity to Avalanche before they shut down, and there were so many things that they asked us to cut in the video we were making about how they produce Disney Infinity toys, because they were like, working with Disney sucks. And they kind of referred to things as being handed to you on the Mickey gloves. So they're like really smiley about it, but they're trying to design Kylo Ren and they only get to see like one shot. They used fan art that other people had made to try to make Kylo Ren as a figure. Like it seems like working with Lucas kind of makes things hard.
Who knew?
Yeah, who would have guessed?
I mean, speaking of working with Lucas, and by Lucas now I mean George Lucas, this is something I love about the EU. It's hundreds of people trying to explain the bullshit that he just makes up that looks cool.
Yeah.
Right?
So do you know the origin of Jar Jar Binks' voice? So on set, the motion capture artist just did a dopey voice, and George Lucas was like, brilliant, love it, we're going to use it. And he was like, whoa, what? And then no one said, hey, George, that's a bad
George,
idea.
that's great.
Like, that's how he made decisions.
One of my favorite stories about the prequels is that when he was deciding what would be CG and what would be physical or practical effects, they basically had this board of scenes and characters, and he just took a highlighter and was like, the ones that are yellow will be CG, and the ones that are orange will be practical effects, and just was lining just anything he could find, just completely no preparation, and everyone in the room's just screaming. And there's one that he accidentally lined in the wrong color and like went over it with yellow and was like, oh, it's close enough to yellow. And everyone's just panicking while he's making these decisions that basically ultimately ended up in everything looking terrible.
A friend of mine actually worked on one of the prequels. She's Sly Moore is the character's name. It's like the Emperor's personal assistant. She appears in about 2 seconds, despite having been on set for like 3 months or something ridiculous like that. Even had her own action figure like scanned out to be made up for her.
How long is her Wikipedia entry?
I bet it's huge. I haven't actually checked it out yet.
I mean, it's not even that different to all of the figures that we got of what's her name, the Chrome lady.
Phasma.
Phasma. We got so many figures of Phasma, and then she has such a small role in The Force Awakens, and it's like, I don't know if they planned to have her in those films more and then took it out, and we had no Rey figures for whatever reason. Like, they were really strange with toys, and it's toys that effectively funded the prequels. Star Wars toys, they also completely changed the market for action figures, and it's absolutely amazing. But then
film licensing changed with Star Wars.
Yeah. Like, articulation is different. Like, Hasbro basically became a company because of the way that Star Wars figures came to life, and they did really strange decision-making with the ones they choose to release.
Yes.
Don't understand.
Didn't Boba Fett only appear for one scene in the
That's
movie? And his
tons of figures.
you could argue that that's the major problem with Force Awakens, is they're attempting to recapture all the stuff that worked from the original trilogy, and that's why I think Phasma is only in it for a little bit. They were like, she's going to be the Boba Fett. We got her. We got Starkiller Base. That's the Death Star.
Yeah.
We got X-wings, but they're a little bit different. We got blasters, and they're a little bit different. Like, it was.
I mean, they played it safe, and I'm hoping with the next movies they
Too
don't
safe.
play it as safe.
Too
Rogue
safe.
One looks very different, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
Okay, who has played the Gungan Frontier?
Not played that.
You're a brave man.
We're
because
sorry.
I couldn't
We're
bring
really
Shout
myself
out to
to
that
do it.
one guy.
That one
Is
guy.
this
Heard of it?
is this the building one?
It is a sim strategy game where you need to colonize a moon so the Gungans can live there. And I have a problem with this conceptually.
No, that sounds great.
So they were kicked off Naboo. They were like, get out. We don't want you anymore. Go to a moon.
Yeah, just leave. Just go.
You like defended the planet at the end of like episode 1, but you're real annoying. Get out.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I don't want to play a game where my role is to keep Gungans alive. Right?
Oh, Boss Nass
Nass
is
is
pretty
pretty shit.
annoying.
And also all of the other Gungans. I'm sorry. Could we just do a quick straw poll? Who hates all Gungans?
Oh. You bunch
Who
of
thinks
space
Jar Jar
racists.
is a Sith?
I told you it was a real theory. I told you.
I believed you. It's just silly.
That's what makes it great.
Heaven forbid Star Wars be silly.
So you played this game.
No.
Oh, okay. This was just a Google entry.
You didn't because you're racist.
Space racist.
Space racist. What
I'm
is that, xenophobe?
space racist.
Xenophobe.
It's a different thing. It's a different thing.
Spacist, that's it.
Yeah, I'm spacist. But there's this whole slew of the proper, what you think of when you say a licensed game, where it's like, it's a math game with Jabba, real thing. It's Yoda Stories, which stays awful.
See, we had Yoda Stories installed on our primary school computers, and so as growing up as a heavy child, that was where I spent most of my lunch breaks. Was on our classroom computer, leading him around old. Is it Dagobah? It is Dagobah, right?
Pretty sure it's Dagobah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Why is
Basically-
Jabba on Dagobah? Oh,
No,
this is
Yoda.
This is
Right.
Yoda. This is Yoda. This isn't the math adventure. This is Yoda's procedural chore hell.
Basically.
Oddly, I want to play that.
Yeah, but you're a masochist.
And you won't replay Dark Forces.
Okay. Let's talk about it now. Could we get clip 3?
Oh no.
It is unavoidable. We will witness the destruction of the Alliance and the end of this insignificant rebellion.
Soldiers of the Rebel Alliance, this is our most desperate hour. You are our only hope. Focus your attack on the walker.
For the rebellion!
Don't get in my way.
Shield up!
That won't happen again. Prevent the walkers from reaching the space.
Your victory will be short-lived.
Now it's my turn. All wings, blast them into submission. May the force be with us.
Your pathetic rebellion ends here.
Dear God, that's a good trailer.
So, that trailer is so good, it makes me want to play Battlefront again.
Oh my God.
I was getting chills at the beginning.
It's so good. And like when that rebel pilot looks at the Millennium Falcon, you're like, that's me. That's me. Oh,
Like, it's so good, I don't even care about the slightly wrong voices. Right?
They were pretty jarring. You've got to admit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the fact that Palpatine was never on the forest moon of Endor. I'm just pointing that out.
I don't know, I
I
reckon
gonna be
he
that
hopped
guy?
down to
Okay.
fuck
I'm
up
sure he
Ewoks
went down there at
on
some
the reg.
point, right? Just to be like, let's paint that wall grayer or something, you know.
That one is a 73 on Metascore, and here's a score of 5.
Whoa!
That's low.
Out of 100?
Yes.
Whoa.
5 out of 100.
Damn.
Well, no, 5.0.
Oh, okay, that's slightly better. What went wrong with Battlefront?
I think
Shallow gameplay.
It's boring.
design for children. That's interesting. Yeah, I will agree with that. I think Heroes. I play Star Wars games not to play as a Jedi. I don't like playing as a Jedi. They're boring. Jedis are too powerful. It's like playing as Superman. Don't want to do it. I want to play as a smuggler, or I want to play as a rebel, or I want to play as like a lowly nothing person who's in this massive universe and have my own adventure. And when I run around the battlefield, I guess, because dice make that too. I want to feel like I'm part of something bigger. I don't want to be the winning to be able to turn the tide. I want to be able to be part of something bigger, like part of the galactic war. That's what I want. And yeah, I don't.
So are you saying you want single player?
Well, who's played Battlefield 1? So if they took the campaign from Battlefield 1 and literally just put Star Wars shit in it and had you going around the galaxy, my God, it would be amazing.
I totally agree. I would bet money that Battlefield 2 will have a single player campaign.
Definitely.
It wouldn't be hard for them to do the same thing that Battlefield 1 did and do it effectively, just on
Exactly.
different planets.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
And then you can do like any time period. You can do all kinds of cool shit. And also, like, I know everyone hates the prequels, but the prequels had some great design in them, like the Naboo starfighters, stuff like that. I wanted that. I don't want to just like bomb around in an X-wing and a freaking A-wing. I'm so bored. Like,
Stop talking.
what? What's wrong? You don't like the Naboo starfighters?
I'm saying stop talking shit about X-wings, but also yes,
No,
they are very
Look,
poorly
man, I
designed.
love an X-wing. I love a good X-wing. They're great. But come on, I want some change. I don't want walkers on every planet. I want something that's unique to each planet. Stuff like that.
So, the reason I like Star Wars, and I guess most people do, is because I like weird as fuck aliens. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just like very, very strange things existing, and I think Star Wars does a very good job of not giving you too much exposition. It's like, this is a thing that exists, this is what it does, I'm not going to tell you anything else, figure it out. And I love that, and I love how well Star Wars does that. In a multiplayer-only game, you don't get any of that.
No.
They could have even put lore into the multiplayer, maybe, but they didn't. But this, I feel like this isn't productive. How would they make... What could they have done gameplay-wise to make you guys like Battlefront more?
This sounds
Outside
like,
of single player.
This sounds like a really lame thing, but aim down sights. Aim down sights.
Make the maps just a little bit smaller.
I think it's
kind of agree, yeah.
it's who it came from. It's DICE, and you think DICE doing Star Wars Battlefront, it's going to be like Battlefield with a DL-44, and it wasn't. It was just light.
Yeah, it almost felt like they'd done the first pass, and they were like, and we're going to put in all this other stuff, and then they're like, should we run out of time?
Every time a Star Wars game gets announced that isn't a narrative-driven RPG, I am incredibly disappointed and think they are wasting their time.
Okay, so you're a big Force Unleashed fan.
There are exceptions to every rule.
That is true.
Absolutely, yeah.
Totally different game experience. When I jump on the Battlefield 1 with my clan, it's the best game in the world. When I jump on a server with a whole bunch of people running around doing whatever they want, it sucks. And that's what I feel was missing.
Just kind of feels like genocide, really.
Do you think that was something that happened because it was Star Wars, maybe? Because so many people love Star Wars, so more people probably bought Battlefront that probably wouldn't play team shooters?
The game was rushed. I think they created a lot of beautiful content, and then they didn't, like, beautiful art and assets, and then they didn't create the content.
It's funny, though, because all of the beautiful stuff in it, what is that word they kept using in their marketing? Photogrammetry. Ridiculous. But all of the assets are just taken from existing assets. So it's like, what did you do, really? Like, I don't think it's a bad game. Yeah. And then we had like 6 months before DLC, and everyone bought the season pass and was just waiting sadly for things to actually come out. And
So is there a way to fix Battlefront 1? So like, if there was an update that could come out now, that
And
you would...
I am so ready for the X-Wing VR experience.
Hardcore.
Have you tried that?
No.
Incredible. There are 2 Star Wars VR experiences that I know of right now. One of them has you repair the Millennium Falcon, and there's a little bit of lightsaber combat, which in VR is cool as hell, because you're using like a Vive or an Oculus controller and just sort of tilting it while the lightsaber makes noises every single time you move. It feels amazing. The other one is you're sitting inside this X-Wing, and you can like look around in the cockpit, and it's really, really small, but it's just, Star Wars is almost perfect for VR, and I would love to see way more of that.
I remember reading something from an EA thing where it's saying they wanted to make a Star Wars game that would appeal to 34-year-old or 40-year-old going back to it. But also being 4-year-olds, so you've got a game in Battlefront that is shallow because adults and children will be able to play it.
That is a hard group to design for, between 4 and 40. I mean, you can't make a good game that's going to appeal to everyone there.
That
unless
is
it's Lego.
an EA kind of thing, though. You know, with Dead Space 3, they were like, "We'll make it less scary, so more people will play it," and that just made everyone who loved Dead Space really angry.
Yeah.
Same with Star Wars.
Make Star Wars Star Citizen.
No. I'd like a game I can play, not a game I wait for. I say this as a pledge, so yeah.
Sorry, just housekeeping. If you guys want to ask questions, there are mics on the side. It's going to be easier for us. So queue up if you want. We're going to keep going and talking. I like the idea of 4X Star Wars, but I don't think it's ever been done well, because that's not the stuff that gets explored in the fiction and the narrative.
Yeah, Star Wars is about exploration. not at all. Like the universe is known, the bounds of it are pretty much set. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the tabletop game, which was based off an old PC game, Rebellion, is amazing. So good. Go buy it now. Like, well, after the panel. After the panel, go buy it. It's awesome.
Please don't leave.
Sorry, just over here.
Sorry, I was just going to say on 4X, but you then just said Rebellion. Rebellion was a really good, basically 4X if you took away the space combat. But then you just
You're
said
right.
it.
Yeah.
We agree.
Great drop in.
I'm tall. I just wanted to say something about Force Unleashed, which was, I liked the PS2 version a lot better. I don't know if anyone played it on the PS2,
I
but
didn't even know there was a PS2 version.
there was more content in that game.
Really?
You had more levels, more costumes, way more story and cutscenes. It was basically just a really shitty-looking Platinum game that didn't have quite as much intriguing combat as a Platinum game.
I don't think anyone really hated the first one.
The first
Well-
Force Unleashed?
Force
No, I
Unleashed.
remember that coming out and
Yeah.
people
I
tore
mean,
it to shreds.
I played it on the PC, which might be my first problem, like the first one, like after the PS2. And it was all right, but I felt like I could feel the less content after playing the PS2 version first, which was really weird because usually, like in that era, the one that was on the older console was the one that had less in it. But it was the reverse for Force Unleashed 1. And I just always found that really interesting.
I wonder if it was some kind of deal, some kind of exclusivity deal with PlayStation.
Yeah, probably.
It happens.
TFU 2 is the game that I got right towards the end and then realised that life was too short to bother finishing this game. But I really probably only had about 10 minutes to go and I was like, yeah, no, we're done. And it was that wildly disappointing from what could have been a very promising game.
How long was
minutes
it?
from the end.
You were like a half hour in, you realised you were 10 minutes from the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
How
on
about
Force
that,
Unleashed
what
on
about that
PC.
Kinect game, though, guys?
Oh, yes.
no,
please.
not yet.
What are we doing?
Oh, no, it's fine. We're going to do this now. Could we get number 4, please? We're going to make you watch all of this.
Oh, I know what we're doing. No. No. No.
Every young hotshot in the outer rim comes gunning for me sooner or later.
Oh, God.
It's scarring.
So Star Wars Kinect was a thing?
Oh boy. Just a funny little thing. When I started at GameSpot, when we're making videos, we do lower thirds with people's names. Our template is that, and I hear that song every time I make a lower third for someone, and it is. I see it every day, and it haunts my dreams, that clip of Han Solo.
So that one's
and also the worst part is whoever's dancing isn't very good at it, so his legs keep lighting up, and I'm just like, oh, I could do this better. I could have done this better.
That one's a 55 on Metacritic. But my favorite part of this is the top review is an 80, and it says, to anyone expecting a poor dance game, yes, there is dancing.
Oh, that's
What?
useful.
I think my favorite part of that is paying Jason Derulo to use that song and changing the lyrics. Like,
Imagine being the person who wrote that. Like, that's on his resume somewhere, or her resume.
it's like the bad idea is just highlighted in yellow highlighter.
Yeah.
Who is it that wrote Fet's Vet? MC Chris?
Oh,
MC Chris, yeah.
That's a really good song.
Yeah.
And his
Great
IG-88 song's really good too. Why don't you just use one of those?
I don't have an answer for you, I'm sorry.
Jason.
I mean, it kind of has a place in my heart because it's so ridiculous. Like, it's such a dumb idea.
Oh, it's incredible. It's like, here we've got this amazing kind of world of Star Wars. How about we find out whether Han Solo can dance or not? Like,
It's such a nuts idea that I feel like it probably wouldn't happen now. Now that Disney's got Star Wars, I don't think you're ever going to see a dancing game with like Rey in it.
Oh, never say never, man.
I mean, I reckon it's on its way.
It's just so strange.
Of course, I've just started wondering, Solo wouldn't dance like that, so I'm wondering, well, what would he dance
How
like?
would he dance? I feel like he'd got to be like an edge of the dance floor kind of guy, right? Because he's too cool to dance.
He just doesn't go to clubs.
Yeah,
right?
he waits for everyone to come dance with him, and then he's like, all right, let's get this party going.
Yeah, he's like the kind of guy who sits
Oh,
with
you
his
reckon
arms
that's Lando?
crossed.
Yeah. Totally Lando. Yeah.
I think Lando dances.
I think Lando
100%.
definitely.
I think Han Solo's Saturday Night Fever. I think he's really
Yeah?
good. Yeah.
I'm going the other way, man. He cannot dance. That's what I'm saying.
yeah?
Yeah, it's a carbonite injury. He can't do it anymore. We have obviously missed some very bad games, so we would love to hear what your least favourite Star Wars games are, if you want to shout some out.
The Phantom Menace tie-in, the one that was on PC, I'll fight you on that because it's amazing. I love that game. I don't know what that is. Really? Because I played this
dress.
in year 8 on my laptop at home in my room, and I thought it was the best.
You are a
game
harbinger.
of all
You
time.
harbour bad opinions. I can see this.
No, I definitely do. Yeah, it's foolish because they're all tied to a very.
Do they let you review games for GameSpot?
No, thank God. Because I would give everything a 10. Everything would be amazing.
Hi, this isn't one of my least favourite games. It's actually a game that was very close to me, and I would like to hear you all talk about Star Wars Galaxies.
Good call. Yeah. Did anyone here play Star Wars Galaxies?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Pre or post the massive...
I played pre-CU and CU, but I didn't play post-NGA.
Yeah. So before the big change, it was epic. Like, it had weird systems. You could dance to heal people. There were 3 different
Like that?
health tracks. Good point. It's over. It was probably one of the greatest, most involved MMOs. And I think because of that, it was its own, worst enemy. It was just too much to do. But then they went the opposite direction, and they created World of Warcraft with Wookiees. I'd love to see it done right. And I don't think necessarily that Knights of the Old Republic is it. I want, modern Star Wars, properly. But, yeah.
I mean, that's actually a really good question. What would your all of your ideal Star Wars games be?
I know what mine is.
Yeah, wow.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Hands up for a remake of X-Wing. Yes.
Okay, we're done here. Thanks, guys.
I feel like Naughty Dog Star Wars could be pretty rad.
That's exactly my perfect game.
Yep.
You play as a smuggler, and you're not a Jedi. You're nothing important, and it's.
I mean, it's easy to say Mass Effect Star Wars. That's like cheating, but I feel like something darker, like if it were more The Last
And you
of Us.
really like aliens, don't you?
I really like aliens.
Yeah.
All those aliens I kissed in Mass Effect.
I'm not sure whether this is actually the worst Star Wars game, but the Clone Wars game, because I played it for like 3 weeks without a memory card, so I just have to keep playing the same 2 levels over and over again.
So it wasn't that bad.
Look, I don't want to say you did that to yourself.
I was 8.
Yeah, okay.
You did it to yourself.
Does anyone remember Super Bombard Racing for the PS2?
Yeah.
The worst kart racer ever on the PS2.
I will say there is a worse Star Wars racing game, and was it Star Wars Demolition?
I like that game. What's Star Wars Demolition?
It's Demolition Derby with Star Wars.
Because that makes sense.
Right? Yeah. It was just, I don't know why it existed.
Was it in space, or was it like on the ground?
Like racing. Yeah, exactly.
And I think so, yeah.
Knights of the Old Republic 2 was one of the few games that you could actually review the cutscenes after you'd unlocked them. And if you played through light side and you played through dark side, the ending was exactly the same. The planet blew up no matter whether you choose light side or dark side, because they never finished the game.
I've never played it.
That really annoyed me.
Yeah, spoilers, by the way, guys. It is a BioWare game.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mass Effect 3, anyone?
There's still a lot to forgive about the KOTOR games. They are very good. They are. And that would be my ideal one, is number 3.
So I just want to say first, I will fight you on Star Wars Demolition because that game was awesome. You could unlock the Rancer and the Cloud Car, and it was sick.
I'm not going to fight.
You could eat people with the You literally ate people.
Wait, hang on. You could play as a Rancor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually really cool. Yeah,
Against
that's
what?
pretty great.
Against what, like an
Game of the year.
It was so.
Okay, so
you
apparently
have-
my ideal game is now remaking Star Wars Demolition.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome.
For
for
VR.
this guy. Like,
Rancor VR, that's what I want.
That sounds like motion sickness waiting to happen.
I've never played a better Demolition game than Star Wars
Is
Demolition.
it the only one you've played?
It was a big claim.
Anyway, you were saying.
My other thing was my ideal like Star Wars game. This might exist and I just don't know about it, but like a Star Wars Muso game like Dynasty Warriors, I think would be really interesting because I feel like that's basically what the Star Wars movies are in like big battles. It's like Luke cutting down like 50 bajillion stormtroopers.
But he never
or
does.
something.
That's the thing.
Not in the old, not the originals, not at all.
I guess it's more of like a new thing.
Yeah, and that's why I think the prequels fail, is because everyone's so powerful. And there's so many lasers and lightsabers.
And yeah, I'm going to say this right now. You use the Force for knowledge and defense and not attack. Right? Yoda said that.
Right,
Yoda
yes.
said that.
I just want to point out, sorry, Star Wars Demolition actually had a backstory. That the Empire officially bans Jabba's pod races, so Jabba decides to create a more life-threatening contest.
Also, when
Galactic legal code in Star Wars is really strange.
All the time.
Also, I just wanted to mention, when you're picking a car in that game, in Star Wars Demolition, the voice that when you pick a car is way too seductive. Like, it's creepily seductive.
Can we get an impression?
No.
Rancor.
Do you still have your Dreamcast so you can play this?
I played it on the PS1.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
But, I mean, the superior console. So.
We're not here to do that. We're just going over here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I remember it being a bit offbeat when it first came out for PS2, but what did everyone think of Bounty Hunter? Like the standalone game?
I thought that game was very funny.
I thought it was weird, but I enjoyed it when I played it.
I think you can get it on PS4 actually.
Can you?
I think it's available for digital
part
download.
of PSN?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it hasn't aged great.
No, it hasn't.
It doesn't look great, but I didn't hate that game.
I didn't hate it, so that was good.
Being able to like lock onto two separate targets with two pistols is the coolest thing I've ever done in a
also
video
just
game.
like playing as a bounty hunter. Like I think that's really rad. I'd like to do that
kind
more
of
often.
needed its own game in a way. Which
Yes.
is cool. Yeah. But also, what did you guys think? Did you hear about the cancelled, just touching on from earlier, the cancelled Darth Maul game? Do you think they would have really messed that up, or I guess it depends on who would have made it?
No idea.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It looks like Darth Maul himself, really.
Yeah.
Isn't Darth Maul like a scorpion now? He's
Only
got
for
like
like
five
a
legs.
while.
Yeah.
Is that canon?
I think it is canon.
He's in Rebels now.
Yeah, it's
in
Rebels.
Rebels.
Yeah, so it
Cool.
is technically canon.
Spoilers again, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Nice.
He is?
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Vader's Luke's dad.
This isn't so much a bad game, but what did you think about Galactic Battlefront, the Age of Empires clone?
Oh, made me angry.
I never had Age of Empires 2. I went straight from Age of Empires 1 to this, so for me it was great, and I went back to Age of Empires 2, and I'm like, where's flying units? Age of Empires 2 is missing flying units.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Who was...
I hated it. It just didn't feel like... I didn't like Age of Empires to begin with, so look, that's my bad opinion.
What?
But it didn't... Yeah, I know. Yeah. But it just didn't feel like Star Wars. It just felt like, unit stacking, and that's nothing that I associate with Star Wars. So, just didn't feel right. Unit stacking, yes.
What about their other attempts at RTS like Empire at War? Force Commander? Yeah, and Force Commander.
The whole kind of build up your base and then send swarms of dudes in, it doesn't say Star Wars to me. Like,
Doesn't mean those games are bad though.
I think they could do something like Dawn of War 2 where it's squad-based small units or something like
I just
that.
feel like that's such an easy way to make a Star Wars game, is to have StarCraft and reskin it. Like, obviously that would be great, but it isn't what a lot of people want from a Star Wars game. Sure, it'd sell and it could work, but it's easy, it's simple. Doesn't require the world building that a lot of people really love about Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not touching on what makes Star Wars unique or interesting. It's just putting a Star Wars skin on it, as you said.
Like, it's a thing that people come back to a lot, but the idea that the Star Wars universe is so different to the Trek universe because it feels lived in, it feels old, it feels aged and damaged, and something that's been around. And the idea of putting new buildings on a map doesn't seem to jive with that for me. Okay, that could be cool.
Sins of Solar Empire, the mod for it, the Star Wars mod. Yeah, that's pretty good. But again, and mod makers will always make the. Yeah.
I mean, you could do that with most things. Like the guy who said Dynasty Warriors before, I feel like that would even work really well. I don't remember if it's actually Dynasty Warriors, but there's basically a game like that that's Gundam in space. And it's the coolest thing in the world, but it's still, you could do that to Star Wars, but you could also do The Last of Us to Star Wars.
I do like
right?
Yeah.
So like you want something character driven, right?
Yeah, totally, 100%. Yes, they are doing that. But we don't really know much about it yet.
Just over here.
Did anyone play Jedi Power Battles? Because I played that on the original console, and then not owning one myself, tried it on a PC emulator, and it was just as janky.
Shocking.
Who knew?
Yeah.
One thing I remember when I was a kid was on the PC there was a game called DroidWorks. It was a game based on all the droids from the Star Wars universe, and it was really strange and really clunky. Does anyone remember it?
That was the one where you built droids out of different parts.
I think I had that at school. I think that was on PC in my primary school.
You see, I actually had the physical play set that it was kind of inspired by, this weird brown lump of extruded plastic with random droid parts that didn't go together very well, which pretty much also describes the game, I think. Yeah.
But seriously, there are so many goddamn Star Wars games I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
The Old Republic? Yes.
The MMO?
The MMO. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, again, I just wanted that to be more of a single-player experience than an MMO,
totally.
but
So
the
did
first 10
BioWare.
levels or so were great, I thought.
Would you like to come down and talk to the mic?
Because we can't really hear you.
Yeah.
Nah. Sunday afternoon at PAX.
Again, it's my problem, and this is my problem with, I guess, the prequels tonally. I don't like swarms of Jedi. It seems wrong.
Yeah.
Totally.
There shouldn't be like armies of them running around waving their lightsabers, being like, yeah! That's not what Jedi do, you know?
No, and it's one of the big things with TFU is that, I was saying before, when Luke can, use the Force to grab his lightsaber, that's really exciting. When a Jedi is tearing a Star Destroyer out of the sky, that's just too
a little
much.
conflicting.
It's just boring.
It's like, how did you guys ever lose? Seriously.
Yeah.
I've never played this game, but have you guys played Republic Commandos?
Yes.
Republic Commando?
Yes. Yeah.
I just want you to know that the guy behind
got
you
it.
just nodded at you.
I've got it on my Xbox original, but I still haven't played it, so...
It's great,
It's good.
but it hasn't aged terribly well. But I think that's a thing with old shooters in general on console. They haven't aged very well.
Does it look as good as Star Wars Obi-Wan did when we saw that before?
Yeah.
Speaking of those games where you're just like the front-flipping Jedi, because you're always a front-flipping Jedi.
I don't know why you guys are complaining about that. I think it's cool as fuck.
Because the Yoda fight scene is the worst thing to ever happen to Star Wars, is why.
Flips are rad.
Do you reckon? that's the worst thing to happen in Star Wars?
Yeah, the worst. The worst.
Oh, I don't know, man. This is pod racing's pretty bad.
Yeah, poor Jake
Are you an
Lloyd.
angel? That's pretty bad.
How do you feel about sand?
Sorry?
I said, how do you feel about
You
sand?
don't like sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So it's all well and good to sit here and just hate on Star Wars games.
Sure.
What if
That's the whole panel.
Which is fun, don't get me
why
wrong,
we're
it is
here.
fun to break it
Good
down.
question, thanks.
But why not talk about like some of the positives, some of the games that make us feel really good, because we all love Star Wars while we're here.
Absolutely.
So why not break down what we love about some of these games and then create our perfect Star Wars game from it?
Well, I'm a massive tabletop gamer as well as a video gamer, and Fantasy Flight's current range of Star Wars games is incredible. Like X-Wing models dogfights better than any other board game I've ever played. Armada's great. The card game is just like the last bastion of the EU.
That's great.
Imperial
the role-playing
Assault.
games are marvelous.
Imperial Assault is perfect because it's like a campaign-based small squad of characters.
Is Imperial Assault the one with all the figures?
Yep.
They're amazing as well. I wish they were scaled. They're not, but God, they look good.
So yeah, absolutely good Star Wars games out there, but they're all
It's also
playable on
just,
boards.
I'm really excited about the Star Wars games that are yet to come out. I think there are 3 Star Wars games in development right now, or 2 maybe, that, from what I know, are going to be amazing. So we're headed in the right direction, I think. And I think, if we do get that Amy Hennig Star Wars game, sold, just 100%.
But something that I think we're all touching on is we want a single-player campaign.
Yes.
We want a
Yeah.
story. We don't want multiplayer. We
Yep.
don't want.
I think the reason they haven't done that is because it's harder, And it's if you screw up the story in a Star Wars game, people will hate you more than they would hate a multiplayer game being bad.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
So Skyrim got remastered recently, and I've been playing it for the nth time. What if they skin Star Wars into Skyrim? A whole open
There are
world.
mods. People have done that.
Yeah, but instead of modding Skyrim to Star Wars, but build from scratch a Star Wars Skyrim open world game with a whole character progression RPG.
I think that kind of thing would be almost exactly what we're after.
Fallout's a
not
pretty good
quite
parallel.
the tailored story that we'd like, but yeah, I'd play the hell out of that kind of Star Wars game, without doubt. One that lets you play anything, a smuggler or a Jedi.
Totally.
But that said, I think you could put pretty much all of my favorite properties and put them into Skyrim, and I would be happy. Like, if you could put Pokemon in that. Yup.
Save that for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just we were talking about the positives, and one of the positives for me was TIE Fighter. Was one of the best PC games, a sequel to X-Wing, especially when it went to it followed the movies, but it also went to that expanded universe. Like Grand Admiral Thrawn came into it as well. That was the first time I saw Grand Admiral Thrawn, and then there's books that follow this on too. I still play this game on DOSBox, and it's fantastic. It still holds up. It's still it's a bit clunky, but it's still beautiful. Why wouldn't developers kind of go back to that PC flight sim kind of look?
I think that's going to happen in VR. I imagine that someone is probably working on that. I mean, even arcade games have done really good jobs with that. I don't remember what it's called, but the arcade.
The Trench Run one?
What is it? I don't remember the name of it, but it's just you're flying through the Death Star and it works really.
Isn't that Star
well.
Wars Arcade? I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Is that
Yeah.
It's just Star Wars Arcade.
Yeah,
it's really,
amazing.
really good. And it's I think that you just need racing sims, especially if we're going to have it as technically accurate as Star Wars, is kind of niche. It's Star Wars, so it's huge, but I feel like putting it in VR is the perfect way to continue that, and I feel like someone's got to be doing it for sure.
One of the great memories of TIE Fighter is remembering every keyboard button was an actual thing to do, like reverse shields and put up this speed and that. It was
those
fantastic.
games were so detailed.
Yeah.
Is anyone old enough to have their childhood ruined by Empire Strikes Back on Atari?
So that was Empire Strikes Back on Atari. Who here has played Empire Strikes Back on Atari? Yeah,
It's such a
just
small amount
not
of people.
good.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was mostly wondering what your opinion was, because since it's no longer LucasArts doing the games, it's going to be EA and they're just farming it out. Your opinion on EA's general approach to DLC for everything, like Battlefront's a key point, that's how they make money for the most part.
Yeah, that's a thing.
So you're really positive about the
Who
games
wants to field
coming
this
out.
one?
Yeah. Well.
But it's EA.
It still depends on the studio. I mean, the biggest thing with EA that you have to remember is that they are, I think, still the highest grossing publisher, which means that they have stakeholders who demand things of them. So that's why, I mentioned Dead Space 3 not being scary before. That probably wasn't a developer decision. That would have been a stakeholder decision. We want to sell more units. And I think they also give them really tight deadlines, and EA does that where maybe they wish they could have put more content in the game, but stakeholders are like, we want this to come out at this point in time, so it has to be DLC. And I don't want to ever blame developers for that, but it is a thing that EA is known to do that continues to happen. And people complained about it enough with Battlefront that I'm just hoping that they take that feedback. Because, I mean, the season pass thing, I think, is just ridiculous. People paid a lot of money and had to wait a really long time for content, not even knowing what it was. That's just terrible for consumers. And they have noticed, so I'm hoping that it just changes. Let's just hope that EA gets better. Yeah, maybe stop buying season passes, people. Stop doing it.
Also, stop pre-orders.
Yeah, stop pre-orders.
Anyway.
All right, I thought I'd come up. For Star Wars Old Republic, I personally really like it because it has both aspects of single player and also group. So they have the heroics and everything that you can do and events that you can play as a group or a guild. Because I have a team, we're on TeamSpeak, and so we have a lot of fun interacting with each other. But then if we can't get on at the same time, we also have class missions, so we do a lot of single play as well.
Yeah.
And so I think they've done a great job of intertwining the two.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the better received Star Wars games, and I really like it. But are you still playing it?
Yeah.
How many people are still playing SWTOR?
You know what? We did lose some. Like, even
Yeah.
our team is cut down by about 10 people.
Mhm.
But they're going to come back because the expansion's coming back. So I
Yeah.
think they play it through, and then another expansion comes out, and then they'll be coming back, and we'll team up for the big events
Yeah,
again.
I feel like it died off pretty quickly because, well, as someone who mentioned before, it was good at the start, but then got repetitive kind of towards the end.
Well, a lot of people didn't like the single player. So Lewis,
Yeah.
he's an engineer at Dell, and he left the game because he doesn't like the single player. So it's
Oh.
kind of hard to meet both, aspects. But I think they've done a fabulous job, and I really like it.
Yeah.
I
Do
think
you play
visually and
GSF?
tonally, it feels very, very good. It feels like Star Wars. I just wasn't a huge fan of the actual mechanics of gameplay to a degree.
Oh, yeah. They've got great storylines. So I
They do
like
have
it.
great
That's my
storylines,
favorite.
yes, absolutely.
It is also really good for accommodating social situations. I think that's a much better social game than Battlefront is, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's something that's worth remembering about Star Wars. We keep talking about, a single-player experience, but Star Wars, in terms of the films, is about groups hanging out, being cool.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And that's something that a lot of Star Wars games don't do. They don't give you a small group.
Yeah.
So I think that's where Old Republic really works well. Yeah.
Hey guys, look, I'm just here to name check Rogue Squadron. Obviously, from that, the best action scenes in Star Wars are the Starfighter battles, and some of the best games, obviously the best, are the Starfighter games. So X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing Best TIE Fighter, and Rogue Squadron. Do you think that this fantasy of the Jedi and the fact that we all kind of want to be Jedis is kind of like the underlying problem of Star Wars games? Is the Jedi fantasy ruining
Man, I want to be
everything?
a Sith.
I
No
think
one
it's an
wants to be a
assumption that we all
Jedi.
want to be Jedi. I don't think we all want to be
I
Jedi.
want to be Wedge.
Like, I always wanted to be Han Solo, man. That dude was wicked cool.
I'd go bounty hunter, I reckon.
Bounty hunter / smuggler, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
That's
do
true.
think that that's one of the big problems is they focus on Jedi and they
Yeah.
don't focus on the rest, all the other cool shit that they've got.
I mean, like, who's super excited for Rogue One?
Yes.
Right?
Awesome.
And again, because it's focusing on the other parts of the universe. It's
Yeah.
not making the whole... I think he's, like, Force sensitive. I don't know if he's a Jedi.
I mean, yeah,
But
none
there's
of
got
the
to be force
main
in
casts-
it.
Well,
like,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, that one
That's
as well.
true. Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
That guy.
I mean, Darth's always the exception, right? Like, if you can be Darth, but...
One of my favourite parts of Jedi Academy was that you could avoid murdering people by mind tricking your way past or pulling the weapon out of their hand and sort of taking the ammo out of the gun. Do you have any recommendations for games like that since then?
It's not totally similar, but Dishonored is a very good example. My favorite game that does that is The Witcher 2, actually. Pretty much every single interaction in that game, you can talk someone out of fighting you. So it also has this fork at very early on in the game where it just completely changes. Two totally different stories. You can play it through a bunch of different times, but almost every single boss fight, you can be like, hey, I don't actually want to fight you, and talk people out of it. You have to be really careful with your dialogue decisions, but it's not a skill tree based thing like Mass Effect where you have to have like high charisma or anything. Witcher 2 is a very good game. You should definitely play that. No force, though.
We got time for one more, I think.
This is a bit of a can of worms, but you were talking about how you have the Battlefront experience, you've got the Tor experience. One is the groups are very transient, whereas Tor is, by its nature, you establish a guild and you play with the same people over and over. Have we lost something in moving multiplayer away from dedicated servers which kind of foster the communities?
Yes. Yes.
I'm immediately looking at David for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Dedicated servers are just great for, you have a server with a set of server rules. You can control who comes in, comes out. You have an admin who can kick out idiots. You can foster the right kind of community that you want. Yeah, I think that's very, very important. Absolutely. Yeah.
True. Okay.
But there's also examples of I know I was playing Left 4 Dead 1, and when Left 4 Dead 2 came out, it just completely split the community. They should have just added the maps to Left 4 Dead 1, which meant that, you know, there were people playing both games separately, and we have a lot of Star Wars games, so they've already divided people who like Star Wars a million times at that point anyway. There's just so many, and none of them seem to cater to many of us entirely.
True. Yep. Any more final questions? Okay, I'd like to thank everyone who was up here.
We have no conclusion, sorry.
we don't, we're just wrapping this up. We've got to get out of here.
Naughty Dog, that's
Naughty
the
Dog,
conclusion.
and
yes.
also the Demolition remake.
Demolition remake. No, this was really cool, though. Thank you, everyone,
Thank you,
for
guys.
contributing.
Thank you so much
It was very
for coming
cool.
along, guys. A lot of fun.